Yo, weather fans, you know what this is. It's Weather Brains, the weekly show, all about weather, episode 688 for March 25th, 2019. This is the pre-show, the magical time of the show where we do three things. We share boring personal stories, humorous anecdotes, and occasionally say very outrageous things. So our guest booking officer is out. You can't leave during the tornado season. How does this happen? So he is out tonight. Bill is actually in Europe, I think, on some type of spring vacation trip. When I had spring vacation trips when I was in school, I would typically go to like the sewage plant on the other side of town. That was about it. So Dr. D is coming on the show tonight. Dr. Chuck Doswell. This is going to be a great show. I just strap in. Get ready for a wild, wild ride because whenever Dr. D is on the show, it's always good.
Unplugged. Unleashed, I think, was the last show title.
Yeah. So, Aubrey, nothing but high compliments about your keynote in Starkville. So are they going to post these online or do just...
Yes, the keynotes. The keynotes do get posted online.
Okay. Well, that needs to be a pick of the week or something so we can go watch.
Awesome.
I can go watch.
I'm so thrilled because I was so nervous. My mouth was so dry. I was like, oh my gosh, make it through it.
No way. You
I was
nervous? Come on.
I think it was just, and I was talking to my parent. My parents said the same thing. They were like, what do you've presented like hundreds of times. And I think it was the first time I presented in front of colleagues, in front of people in the weather enterprise. So I think once I got that mentality out of my head, because then afterwards I was like, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I meant to say this, and I was so focused on my time of not, because originally I had gone over all of my practice timings and then I was like having to stretch at the end and I wish I had said other things. So, but yeah, I was a little nervous, but I'm so glad that it was so well received and I'm so humbled by it. And it was great.
Well, everybody said you knocked a home run. You were dynamite. So I can't wait to see this. No, but I know what you mean. It is somewhat intimidating when you've got a number of people in the room that you really think a lot of. And, they're like your mentors and you're thinking, oh, boy. In fact, oddly enough, Chuck's coming on the show. That's probably one of the hardest ones I've done. It was one of the first times I had to do a talk in front of Chuck Doswell. And, when Chuck comes to one of these things, he sits in the front row with his cowboy hat.
Yep.
and his hand is going to go up the minute you're through when you listen. Anybody have any questions?
Oh, I know. I was so scared.
Yeah. It's like anybody but you. But no, so I just hate that I had to miss that. So, Kevin, you didn't go to the Southeast Severe Storms Symposium, did you?
No, I wanted to go.
We can't hear a word you're saying. Hello,
yeah.
Microphone check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Looks like Kevin's in the studio tonight.
Mm-hmm.
How about now?
Let me see if I can work on getting our guests on here.
Got it?
Because I have a note that we are going to have.
I was going to go to the
Dina
Southeast thing, but then I found out Aubrey was going to spend all her time
nightly from the Weather Channel, representing the Storm Front.
I don't think James can hear me.
I can hear you.
But yeah.
James, can you hear Kevin?
No.
He can't hear.
Okay. I can hear Kevin.
Oh, this is weird.
This is funny.
How does this happen?
Have you updated and paid for all your software?
Because if you look at the look at the little green bars at the bottom. Kevin, talk.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
They're not moving at all.
Really? Because they're moving on my screen.
I'll get out.
Wow.
And
I did have to change some audio stuff here. Let's see. Can you hear this?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Kevin, he dropped and he'll come back on here. That's just weird.
Hello.
Can you hear him now?
No.
Really? Wow.
This has never happened before.
Ask him if he's updated all of his software and paid for it.
Have you updated all of your software and paid for it?
Yeah, that's yes, true. We had that disaster a couple of weeks ago. Well, I don't know what exactly I need to do here.
This is
Let me see what
hilarious.
this is funny, but no, I'm hearing you. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's got nothing to. I mean, if I'm hearing one, I hear them all. I mean,
Mhm.
I can't control that. I mean, I can mute individual people, but Kevin's not muted.
What's weird is when he talks, I can see the little green bars at the bottom of his little picture, and you can't.
Let me try and get somebody else on here and see if everybody else has if it's an issue with everybody here. So
It's a good looking jacket
I'm
he's
going
got
to
on there.
invite Dina.
No, Kevin, now's the time to insult him when he can't
I know.
hear you.
Well, this is
Yes, exactly.
this is going to be really a good time for me.
No, what I need to do is go over here and let's see if I can hear Kevin on the actual stream, on the broadcast output of this thing.
And that'll be interesting if someone else can hear him or not.
Yeah, that's the key here. So let's see. Let's search Weather Brains on
This is very exciting because I'm just going to do
YouTube.
nothing but
Weather
screw with his
Brains.
head all evening.
688. Skip the commercial. All right. 688. Now there's latency, so
Okay.
Kevin, just talk for a minute.
Kevin, talk.
I'm doing sign language.
Now there's latency, so Kevin, just talk for a minute.
Testing 1, 2, 3,
Kevin, talk.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
8,
I hear him fine on the stream.
10.
Testing 1, 2.
Mhm.
I hear me.
Mhm.
He sounds great.
Have you cleaned your
How in
ears
the
lately?
world does this happen?
It's a mental blockage. Kevin, James has actually blocked you from his head.
Now let me
That's the best
let me
thing I've
try
ever
something
heard.
here. All right, now Kevin, say something.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm enunciating
say
so he
something.
can see my mouth moving.
This is
Yeah, no.
beyond bizarre.
Well, let me do a refresh and see if that does any good.
Google's just picking off Google Plus
Boy, this
people
is
one
this
by
is
one.
hosed. I mean, how does this happen? Oh wait,
Oh, good. We have one more.
Hi. I'm Dina.
Hi. Hi, Dina. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. All right. So we're running into some interesting phenomenon here with the Hangouts.
yeah, it's just good that I can't hear because that helps me a little bit. So let
Oh,
me
so
come
you
back on
can't
that
hear
one.
Dina.
No, I cannot.
Okay.
So, hang
Okay.
on.
Okay, Kevin. Okay, Kevin, talk to Dina. Now let's see if you guys can hear each other.
Hi, Dina. This is Kevin. Can you hear me?
Yes, Kevin, I can.
So
it's
it was
James.
James.
All right.
That's
All right.
Aubrey,
Yep.
Aubrey, tell James he's ugly and his mama dresses him funny.
He's back now and he has not reacted. So this James,
Has he lost you now?
I might be frozen.
No, he's moving.
All right, James, what's the verdict?
He
Oh,
can't
maybe-
hear you anymore either.
Yeah, I don't think he can hear any of us.
Wave at him.
I can't hear anybody. This is great.
Oh no. Now he's blocked all of us. Oh my gosh.
And I hate to ask the stupid question, but he's not he doesn't have his sound muted, right?
No, because what happened was earlier, James and I were talking and then he couldn't hear Kevin, but I could hear Kevin and everybody, and James couldn't hear Kevin at all.
How does this
Oh.
happen?
And so
Hello. I can
we
see
can
my
hear,
meters
we can
kicking.
hear you.
Now, Weather Brains is tracking the track.
I heard everything.
We can hear you.
Tell him to call Rogue
Audio.
Amoeba technical support.
Audio. Is it your earbuds? He's got those wireless things in.
Oh yeah, maybe they're dead.
Yeah, that doesn't fly though, because he heard Aubrey.
Me earlier, yeah.
Unless it was on the way out. I don't know how that would have worked, but
Audio channel or something. he getting the chat?
Bum 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 bum.
I can hear those elements fine in
Yeah,
these
we can
earbuds,
too.
so it's not that.
Okay, so
When I
okay, so
play
you
these
can hear
things,
those.
now I
Okay.
can't hear Aubrey, so at least it's consistent now. I can't hear anybody, so that
Okay.
Aubrey, are you the one doing all the technical work?
No.
I'm gonna disconnect. I'll be back here in a second.
Hi, Dr. John.
Hi, gang.
Hi.
We're
Nice
having
and wet once again in the Northeast.
we're having a fascinating technical problem. James
Yeah.
can hear stuff. He can't hear anything on the Hangout.
We
You
can all
start-
hear
Wow.
each other.
He started off being able to hear Aubrey, but not me. And then
But we just thought it was a
he
mental
got out.
block.
and Dina came in, and then yeah, he had his accelerant filter on.
Wow.
Now he's going away again.
Yeah, so it's really weird. But he can hear all the audio that he's playing, but he can't hear any of us now. So
What's really exciting is that we own this program now.
He's never not been on a show before.
I know. I'm sort of in disbelief right here.
Huh.
Yeah, so I think I wore Troy out over the weekend.
Yeah, we'd like to hear about that. Are there pictures?
There are pictures. There are pictures.
Very good.
Nope, he's back again.
Now I hear
Whoa.
everybody.
Oh,
Oh, good.
Yes.
That is the most bizarre thing that it's ever happened here.
We can blame it on the solar flare.
There you go.
Well,
Solar
You're gonna
flare,
you're gonna have to
something.
go back and listen to the YouTube version and hear all the ugly things we said about you.
No, trust me, y'all are all going out to the world here. So, all right, let's see if I can get Dr. D on here. Let's see here. I know that Bill sent me.
I gave us a nice,
Email.
good plug at the conference.
Oh, good. Thank you. Let's see. Bill Murray.
Bill's in Ireland, so he won't be on.
Oh, that's right. He is drinking a Guinness from the tap.
Mhm.
So what I'm going to do is invite Chuck both ways.
Wow. This is a new low for me. When I left for dinner, I left for dinner and I there was something I needed to do when I came back. So I actually wrote myself a sticky note that says check timer. And I can't remember what it's for.
Wow.
Stove on, did you?
Huh?
Check the timer on the stove.
No, it was something here.
Check the timer.
Isn't that horrible? What
Well,
was
Kevin,
it?
these things are bound to happen at your age.
Apparently so. That's troubling.
This whole thing has been troubling.
That's the show title.
Yep, show title.
Yeah. We can't do a show title in the pre-show, but I'll probably say it again during the show. No, so we've done 688 episodes. I've never had that problem where I heard Aubrey and couldn't hear Kevin, then I couldn't hear anybody. So I just dumped out and brought the whole thing back up, and it works. So we'll see. So Troy is out, right? Aubrey, he's
Correct.
Yes, he is flying back from Texas. So
Okay.
he is out tonight,
okay.
which I thoroughly had a great time with him and Bruce Thomas.
Now, did you guys go to Pap's Place in Ackerman, Mississippi at all during this event?
We did not. We went to Chef Tyler's, Chef T something, the guy that owns like all the restaurants in Starkville.
Yeah, I know the guy. He's the big deal over there. That's
Yeah.
see, we go down to this Meat and 3, 25 miles down the road in Ackerman called Pap's Place. Might be the greatest all-you-can-eat meat and 3 in America. And I say meat and 3, it's more than that. It's a home cooking buffet. Now, did you go to the Little Dewey barbecue
Now
joint?
they brought in Little Dewey for Sunday lunch, which I was so excited about, which was amazing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's great. That's we have. I could tell many stories about the little Dewey. The old back room at the Dewey. All right. So welcome to our television viewers. It is 30 minutes after the hour, and this is Weather Brains, the pre-show. We're about to crank up the show. We are done with the storms. So for those of you watching on TV, no worries. Severe weather risk is ended. Going to be dry for a while, so you can sit back, relax, and watch a little Weather Brains. It's amazing how many people come up to me now and tell me they watch this on television. I totally forget we're on the TV side. So welcome to our television viewers. And our guest star, we're working to get him on the show. So let me try another method here. Remember, the higher the IQ, the odds are very small we get him on the show right away. Chuck's IQ probably exceeds 300. So
that's funny.
So I am going to invite him one more time. That way I have sent him the email link, and he probably saw the pre-show and bolted. And I hope he makes it, because he is a true classic. Every Chuck Doswell episode, the numbers always jump. People that listen. Bill did a hangout test with him, but he says in his email it could be dicey Monday evening.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was actually walking down the hotel steps into the conference, and I was getting all the little texts that they were sending back and forth. It was really funny.
Yeah. So let me try another technique here. I'm going to copy the permanent link where you can join, and I'm going to see if I can just go to Hangouts over here and maybe send it to him this way.
He's a doctor, right?
I don't want to start. He is a doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor is in the house.
Dr. D.
See, here he is. Now, see, he's got different email addresses, which is a little confusing because the one I just pulled up is an older email address. And according to this note, the other problem, I get this weird formatting, but I'm pretty sure his email is what I think it is. So let me try him one more here. Let's see. Try that. And let's see if this will work. I've sent him the link to the show via his old email address and his newer one. And I have emailed it to him and sent it via chat and the standard invite. And yeah, dicey is the word. Not.
How do you not have his phone number?
I might. That's an idea. Let me scroll through here. I'm like a digital pack rat. I save everybody's phone number.
Oh, a phone. Wow, there's a new idea.
Siri knowledge. Charles A. Doswell III is an American meteorologist and prolific severe convective storms researcher. Okay. He is a contributor along with Leslie R. Lemon to the modern conception of the supercell, which was developed originally by Keith Browning. I thought it was Doswell and Lemon. I've just learned something. No, I don't have his number. Well, I guess we'll just start the show and roll with it. Dina, are you good to be our main guest here?
Sure, I'm ready.
Okay, we'll have fun. I just hate that we can't get him on here, but I don't know what else to do. So, all right, let's get the recorders going here. So let's do recorder number 1 and recorder number 2. And here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2. 2, 1. Hey, this is Weather Brains episode number 688. Weather Brains is the weekly show all about weather. This is for March 25th, 2019. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us. And we are in the midst of spring break for a lot of people, which means our guest booking officer, Bill Murray, is on spring break. Aubrey, where did he go? To Ireland, is that right?
Ireland, yes, the land of the Irish.
You know, when I would take spring break when I was in school, we'd go to the sewage treatment plant for a tour on the other side of town. You know, now it's like all these high school kids go to Europe and, you know, South Africa and Hawaii. How does this happen? I mean,
I don't know.
I just don't get it. So, Aubrey, you were the star of the show at the Southeast Severe Storm Symposium in Starkville, Mississippi. How was your campus visit to Stark Vegas?
Oh, you know, I went to that conference last year and was just in awe and amazement. And this year was just no different. It was wonderful. The group was wonderful. The conference is so well done. And I highly encourage anyone anywhere remotely close to Mississippi State to and broadcasters, NWS forecasters, students, go to this conference. This is a must, not only for networking, but you will learn so much. This is such a great conference, and I'm trying to figure out how in the world I can get down there next year, because I don't think I can make it, but this was it's just a top-notch event.
So they had Louis Ussolini, I see. They had the big dog there.
Wow.
I got to have dinner with Ussolini.
Did you?
I did.
Wow.
That was incredible.
No, they, you know, I think I went to the very first one, and I didn't miss one for probably 10 years. And then what happened, our boys played baseball in the spring, and that, you know, you have to prioritize things. Mm-hmm. So we would spend weekends at the ballpark. So I missed a number of them, and I was back, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But I need to somehow get my schedule back, because we're empty nesters now. So I have no excuse. I go to Starkville several times a year. I speak every summer in August at their summer workshop, you know, for the graduates. But I need to do that. That is a marvelous conference, and the students put this thing on, right? Mm-hmm. It's a student-led conference.
They do. It's a student-led conference. It is literally like a mini NWA, and they do a phenomenal job year after year. And they're fantastic. They're absolutely well-skilled and absolutely fantastic.
You know, it brings up an interesting question that we've heard for some years now, that, you know, NWA and AMS got better and better and better and bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where I feel like we've heard that there are sometimes too many things. Does this suggest that there should be more topic specific or area specific conferences? The downside of that, of course, is, you know, you can't go to 16 different conferences per year. Mm-hmm.
No, I think you're right, Kevin. I think there may be a move towards regional conferences where the registration fees wouldn't be quite so bad. When I was president of the NWA, I was very conscious of the fact that our registration fees kept going up.
Yeah,
they're pretty large now.
The regional idea makes sense. I mean, because I have no need for a lake effect snow conference, but there are people who do.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and here's the other thing to consider, as a lot of stations are making a lot of cutbacks. I mean, you've seen what the industry has been through over the last 6, 8, 9 years. A lot of stations aren't paying for it as they did back in the old days. This falls on a lot of our shoulders. And when you up and up and up the registration, I mean, yeah, I would like to try an AMS conference once. I just can't afford it. I can't, there's no way I could ever afford to go.
Well, and if you really want to crack the topic wide open, I mean, we're way behind on streaming those kinds of things. Yes, I understand there's money involved and you make money at conferences, and seeing people in the hallways is part of that as well. But you know, what percentage of people don't get to go to these things even ever and benefit from them? But if they could get to a more online or digital presence for those, you'd think more people could at least in some way participate. And
that's the thing. It's not a matter of people, you know, not wanting to go. It's that some of us can't go, either money-wise, affordability, distance or schedule wise, depending on how many people are off, how many people you have, scheduling conflicts and things like that, and just not absolutely being able to go sometimes.
Scheduling, family, children,
Yep.
that holds you up on everything.
And then you miss out on so much important information, so much great information.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about this in a second. Let me just say up front, a lot of people, I think, were expecting to see Dr. D on the show tonight, Chuck Doswell. We invited him to be on the show, and unfortunately, he is in the mode, I hope, of getting on with us, but he's not on right now. So if you know this show, the higher the IQ, it's harder to get the people on the Hangouts here. So we'll see if we can get Dr. Doswell on shortly. We have tried everything we know what to do, but our guest booking officer, Bill Murray, is out of the country, as we've talked about. And Troy, Aubrey, he has a hangover. What's his problem?
Yeah, what'd he do?
Yeah, so I just, like I said, party hard, and he tried to keep up, but
Oh, wow.
no cigar.
You're setting new standards that Troy apparently cannot reach.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yikes.
We were out in town. We were out in the town with all the college kids. Honestly, I think the college kids were all surprised that I was hanging out.
And there's your show title, Out on the Town with All the College Kids.
Yeah. So, but we'll talk more at the conferences later here. But again, obviously, Dr. John is here, Kevin is here, and let's bring in Dina Knightley. Dina is with the Weather Channel. Now, Dina, do you work for IBM or the Weather Channel?
IBM now. I worked on the TV Weather Channel side for about 13 years. In fact, Dr. Scally, you were there. We overlapped slightly.
I thought we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
You were there when I first started. I was there about 13 years, and then I've been over at the digital side for another 3.
Wow.
So it's been I've been there a long time.
Yes.
So let's, for those that don't understand, I think a lot of people really don't know what's happened, that there's been kind of a split with the Weather Channel. The digital properties went to IBM. Who owns the TV side now? I have no idea.
It's Byron
Harris.
Yeah, I think that's what is left. It's weird that it wasn't like a big TV company that bought them, but IBM bought the Weather.
Byron Allen.
That's what it is. They bought that, but IBM came in. They bought in the digital side. They bought Weather Underground. They bought WSI, and all these like little things under our umbrella. And so we're one big weather company. We still have relations with them. It's kind of like you got divorced, but you still get along somewhat for the kids. But yes, we are separate, but we do on some things work together. So
why did IBM want this thing?
For the data, I think,
But is there a big enough market there that, giving forecasts to truckers, or am I missing something?
They want to go so global and so local, like globally and local, like down to the local level anywhere in the world. And with Watson, I think you can do that. And then getting our weather data and our weather models and our meteorologists, I think was really where they wanted to go with their data. I think it opens up a lot for them. And then a lot of the other parts of it, like the digital side, our video side, I mean, they're doing well and they're making money. We're doing stuff with the app and there's more data there. So it's growing all the time. It's amazing.
Are they looking for a business to consumer model or business to business or both? Is there? I just can't see where the I don't know where the money is, where the margins are, where the return is.
All in weather data, really. Mm-hmm. Whether that weather data goes to just average Joe Schmo on his app, whether it goes to companies, whether it goes to utility companies, whether it goes to other governments, everywhere around the world.
So that's a big enough market to tell Walmart how many sweaters to buy for the upcoming thing. I get it. I think with the whole Watson IBM thing and all the weather data that we have, because really that's all under us now.
I think the TV side has to pay for that now. So things have changed.
Yeah.
So what exactly is your responsibility on the digital side, Dina? What's your gig there?
So I'm a senior meteorologist there. I do their graphics in the morning. We have shows like you can watch on your Weather Channel app. We do all the weather videos. I do all the graphics that you'll see on weather.com and on the app. And we also, are behind the scenes. We have actual people who, it's weird. You have a lot of meteorologists, some only forecast, some only like write articles that you read on weather.com. Some like me who do a little bit of everything, but do mostly graphics and weather producing for the videos that you see in the morning. So we all kind of pitch in, but we all have our specialties.
What kind of numbers are you doing on these old video things? I mean, are you allowed to say?
I saw for a while. I know for the big events, I mean, we just hit millions.
Mm-hmm.
Like as we've always done in the past, the hurricanes are always the one people watch. But even weird ones, like I think it was weird, like, because on the TV side, if you did something about an earthquake, nobody really watched. They turned the channel. But you do it on the digital side, and it's huge.
And you're monetizing those with commercials?
Yes.
Pre-roll,
Yes.
post-roll?
I'm not even sure anymore about how they all make their money. But if you watch the app, you'll get an ad in there all the time. You'll see ads on weather.com. So they seem to be doing well. I mean, every time I turn around, we're growing and adding something. So it's kind of nice to know, because I was starting to get a little nervous on the TV side. People don't only watch if it's a big hurricane or a big, something big, and then they'll watch. But on a day-to-day basis, things weren't, they weren't great. On an average day, people check their phone. Everybody checks their phone. So I kind of like that I'm on the side of where the future is going.
How about the TV?
Kevin has gone off the grid.
Oh yeah. Well, social. How about the? Now I lost my train of thought. What was I going to ask?
See, I'm the guy that interrupted Kevin's question here, but I was going to ask. So where do you produce these videos? Is it the old Weather Channel studio? Do y'all share a set? Or
no? We've moved. We're in a different building. We're still in Atlanta. We're not far from the other building. But IBM bought us we've got a brand new area, brand new space, beautiful. We produce them all in house. We have 2 beautiful studios, one very large one. All kinds of audio rooms. We do our videos right there. I produce all their graphics, and I sit and chat with the on-camera meteorologist, and we go over everything, because I'm the first one literally in the building in the morning. I'm lucky the lights are on when I come in, but I go in, I get everything started, make sure that we're covering all of our weather stories, and then go over it with our on-camera meteorologist. We record everything, they're edited, and then they're published on the app and on the weather.com side.
Okay, so are you close? Are you like in Atlanta, or is this
I'm in Atlanta? No, we're all in Atlanta. I mean, the TV studios are just maybe not even 10 miles away. I mean, we're
okay.
Close,
So I've been to the Weather Channel TV studios.
Yeah.
I guess it was the TV channel to do.
I'm sure that's where it was.
Marshall Shepard had that show called Weather Geeks for a while, and I think that's the TV studio. So I've been there. So you're okay.
We're we're like not even 10 miles away.
Okay, so I would imagine you get a whole lot more eyeballs than they do if you average out the number of days across the year. And you're right, for a hurricane, some big event, everybody's going to turn on the TV, watch a Weather Channel. But on a routine day, you probably blow their numbers out of the water, don't you?
Not to sound mean or anything, but
go ahead. Nobody's listening to this show. Nobody's listening. It's just us talking.
I mean, I think we do, because even if it's nice weather, people still check their app, and then we have plenty of videos on there, and they all range. They could be the latest weather. They could be like weather stories and aren't actually like, it could be an earthquake or a fire or something that's not like a severe storm or a winter storm or a hurricane. So you've got plenty to look at. You can get all your information right there.
So let go ahead, Kevin.
It was a different question. I'm kind of taking off track, but I assume it's still you guys feed it used to go through Yahoo, I think, for some reason, but you feed the native app, iOS app on the iPhone. Do you have any idea how much traffic that gets?
I know. Oh man, I think like in a year we'll get over 1 billion hits.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big.
Right.
But that's for everything. That's for weather. That's for science. That's for anything that we put out there. Even if it's just like a climate, something with the climate. I mean,
well, but I meant the app that comes native on the iPhone when you buy it.
That I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just specific to the weather part of it.
I just always heard that was a big, or assumed and heard it was a big number, but nobody ever said what it was. So who's the primary competition? AccuWeather? I meant quantitatively, not. We know qualitatively that.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, but there are a lot of weather apps out there, but weather.com I think is the one you're going to know the most.
Right.
So let's talk about the crap app dilemma.
Okay.
And look, let's. Our station has one. You have one. Everybody on this show has one, and they're automated and they spit out some bad information. And what's under the hood here? Give us the secret sauce. Is there any human quality control to the forecast that go out over the apps?
There is. Models do a lot of it because there's no way you could keep up with every single location. Now we have forecasters that can override, like say the models putting out maybe clouds when we think there's going to be storms or vice versa. They can override it. But on a normal day-to-day basis, it's going to update every hour, if not more. So that's why you're kind of it may start raining at 2:45. And then, you look at the app again and it's not raining till 6:00 at night. I mean, I don't know if there's a way around that yet.
Yeah, that's the dilemma, is that there is no way AccuWeather or the Weather Channel or any entity, Weather Service, NOAA, can provide a meteorologist for every, point in the United States, every wide spot in the road where there's a zip code. But right. Aubrey says she does her app manually, and she can't talk because I think she's on the air right now. Oh, is she? John, you're appless. John, are you appless, John?
I don't have my own. No, I'm just pilfering whatever's out there.
I'm getting ready for show, but yeah, I do. We update our app completely manually, numerous times a day. My whole team does. We do have a somewhat of a smaller DMA though. So we don't have 20 counties. We have like 9 counties. So we do have the ability to do it, but we also live in an area where we don't have really good weather data. We don't live in an area where the models necessarily do a very good job on a routine basis. So, so we have our own niche to the market, and I think we need to manually do this for our area.
Mm-hmm. How often do you update it?
At least twice per shift, if not more.
Okay.
What's the infra? What structure is it? The WSI Weather Company app?
It's a WSI. Yep.
So it's Dina's app then. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's our company, and it's funny because when I first started in weather, I worked for WSI. Mm-hmm. And went around all the stations around the country and trained on it and installed it and did all that. I worked in MedOps, and then when you're gone every week, you kind of get burned out. And then, hey, there's an opening over at the Weather Channel. Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
I love the ability to do it. Honestly, yeah. I absolutely love the ability to do it. I don't mind doing it. Even the hourlies, it can be a little time consuming sometimes, but if we keep up with it, and even look at those ever-changing things, as we're here, then it actually doesn't make it too difficult. So
now I will say, like for the videos we not like we update those constantly all the time, and those are manual because we're actually recording them. Like I'm talking about, like when you look at the hourly, you scroll down and it says 5 o'clock, 80% chance of rain, and then 90%. That's automatic, but the videos we update as we need them, and we never really do live. That's the only here's the one difference between TV and the digital. We don't do the live stuff. They do the live stuff, but we can do any kind of forecasting we want. So all of our app stuff is forecast. And then every time you see a video, like if it's say it's a hurricane, of course we'll do it every 3 hours that it comes out or more if it's approaching land. Things like that. We'll update them we will update them manually.
So let's talk about severe weather and severe weather messaging. And I'm trying to pull up some of these apps now, but so if I download the Weather Channel app, I would assume you get push notifications for tornado warnings. What do you offer on the severe side?
They do get push warnings for things like where you live. A lot of that is like in a whole other department too. I think a lot of those are automated. I get push notifications all the time. But we can manually push notifications for something big. Say there's a big winter storm. Like lately we've done stuff for big winter storms or severe or something like that. We can send that out and put you right to the forecast and it'll pop you right to it.
Do you use the warnings from the National Weather Service, or do you issue your own when it comes to severe local convective storms?
We do not. We do not step on them at all. We use their warnings.
Because look, I'm not going to get into my platform here, but one of my concerns, it is a simple, unified message across the enterprise when it comes to life-threatening weather. And we're all going to communicate it differently, but it sure would be nice if we could kind of agree on a lot of things here, like the warnings come from the Weather Service and call to action statements. We can't even agree on that. And I think we all know we have a big problem now after what happened in Lee County here back on March 3rd. And let me just throw this out to everybody on the show. I honestly think, after pondering this and talking with people, we need an intermediate type message for those that live in manufactured housing, between a watch and a warning. And I would love everybody's thoughts on this, because this is a very challenging issue here, but I'm tired of people dying in mobile homes. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of it. I mean, it's a real problem here. And if you look across much of the country, you've got a very, very dense population of manufactured housing, the Carolinas, parts of the Southern Plains. It's not just where I am here. And like I've said before on the show, I'm their biggest fan, that it offers wonderful, affordable housing to people. And it gives them a great quality of life, and I'm all for them. But during a tornado warning, they're a death trap, and you've got to get out no matter what you hear. And the problem is, and it's so easy. For years and years on TV, I say, if you live in a site-built house, go to a small room on the lowest level near the center, away from windows. And you can't be in a car and you can't be in a mobile home. Well, how does that help these people? Mm-hmm. For some of these people, they don't have transportation. They can't leave. Mm-hmm. For some people, the nearest shelter might be 40 minutes away, and they're getting a 10-minute lead time. And I just told them, don't get in a car.
10-minute lead time.
Right. And so, the question is, what can we do? And Dr. John, you're our severe weather expert. We're going to go back to your Weather Channel days. You're our severe weather expert here. And I think it's got something to do with these SPC mesoscale discussions. And we talked about this on the show. What was it, last week? And I've been thinking about this a lot. Maybe it's an MCD product issued by SPC, where they get a hotspot. They get a little circle going there, one of those small areas they define. And that's when you tell people, if you live in a manufactured home and if you're in this MCD area, I would suggest leaving now and going to a shelter, even if there's no warning. There's just something we're missing. And I'm hoping that Kim is down there now, Kim Cloco McLean. I think she's supposed to be down there now gathering data. And so once we get her data back, get some recommendations. But John, what do you think? What what do we say on TV for people who live in manufactured housing? When do they leave? If they leave during a tornado watch, they'll be sitting in a cramped community shelter that smells weird, and you've got strange people in there. Some of them might be drunk, and some of them maybe haven't bathed in 2 weeks, and it's not comfortable sitting in one of these things for like 6 hours, and that's not practical.
No.
But I think you could sit in one for 1 hour. So what do we do?
There's a couple avenues that come to mind. The first is, should the messaging be coming from SPC, or should it be more local, the local forecast office? And should it be something akin to a special weather statement that's designed specifically for manufactured homes? You know, that's one discussion we can have. The other one would be when you have a certain density, a defined density of mobile or manufactured homes, then that municipality, that township, is required to provide shelter on the property where those manufactured homes are located. But then you run into the idea of cost. Who's going to support that? Who's going to provide the funds to manufacture that shelter? It's not a one-size-fits-all issue, and we struggle with it because of that.
Yeah, Dina, what do you say? What are your
I love
thoughts
that
on this?
idea. But then what happens? I think this is the biggest problem that we face, is what happens when we're wrong and we send everybody to say we do get money and we do build a shelter or a place for somebody to go, and they all go there and nothing happens. Then the next time, why should I go? Because maybe nothing it's
Right.
such a catch-22. I wish I had the best answer.
Within a tornado watch, the odds of any one mobile home being hit are very small, even within a tornado watch, even
Absolutely.
a PDS tornado watch, the odds of any one specific manufactured home being hit, it's very low. So I totally agree. And when you get down to a warning, the odds are much, much, much higher. You know, if you're in the polygon, there's a very decent chance you might be heavily affected, if not to take a direct hit. But again, the lead time might be 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 8 minutes. And the problem we have here, we really don't have mobile home parks. We don't have that many of them. Most people, for example, in Lee County, where all those people died, 23 people died earlier this month, they live in isolated spots where they probably had that land in their family for generations and generations. So instead of having 50 or 75 manufactured homes in a community, it's just maybe one or two. And they're very widely scattered through there. So, there's no mobile home park to put these shelters in. But and the other thing that concerns me too, with an intermediate step, I'm afraid that if everybody says something different, that's going to lead to mass chaos. Because, well, if channel 18 over here said it's time for mobile home residents to go to the shelter, but channel 3 over here they said no, you're okay for now. I would like for it to be some type of standardized message, which again, it would kind of put the responsibility on the local weather service offices like John was talking about. But again, this is more of a social science, physical science question.
We need to bring the manufacturers on board, I think, with this also. I recall vividly when I was at the Weather Channel covering a severe weather outbreak in the South, and there was a manufactured home that was destroyed, and we actually had there was an aerial view of this destruction that had taken place, and I was covering it live. And while I was doing that, the manufacturer actually called the Weather Channel and said, please do not talk about the dangers of being in a manufactured home.
Wow,
fact,
they did?
Yeah, in fact, I think I even described it as a mobile home, and they did not like that at all. Please describe it as a manufactured home, as if that was providing a greater source of safety and shelter. I think we need to bring them on board as well. You're providing. Go ahead, James.
I was going to say, at this session at the NWA meeting in St. Louis last summer, they had 45 minutes or an hour in the broadcaster's session, and that's the first thing out of their mouth. Don't you dare call this a mobile home. It's a manufactured home.
Right.
And that's when I wanted to say, ma'am, nothing personal. And again, I'm your best friend. I am an advocate for people living in manufactured housing. It's marvelous, but you can't stay in these places during a tornado. But I wanted to say, when was the last time you were in a Dollar General in Gordo, Alabama? The Dollar General in Gordo, Alabama. Go in there and ask people in Pickens County, what do they call them? Do they call them manufactured homes? No. You know what they call them? They call them trailers.
Trailers.
That's what they call them.
Right.
And in order for me to reach people, I have to use the terms that they use. And if you get mad at them. They're your customers. I mean, you can't, maybe we need to go fuss at them or something, but that whole, what's it called? That's
because what if they do start upping the safety? Then those manufactured homes, trailers, or mobile homes are going to cost more. And then who's buying brand new ones anyway? I mean, you're going to probably buy or rent one that's been around for a while that does not have a higher safety rating. Not that even you could even get a good safety rating on some of those residences, but I like the idea of like whether it's SPC or a government agency issuing that warning that says if you're in a manufactured home, now's the time to leave. And then I think it's like the warnings. The people in the broadcast areas will hopefully be following suit. Like I know at the Weather Channel, we've never done our own warnings. We've never done our own watches, anything like that. You don't step on the government when they're already doing it. But
well, again, we need Kim on here to what Kim needs to do is gather the data, do her research, and present the findings on this show. And that's when, and again, not that Kim has the magic answers. I don't think anybody does, but we need to start a discussion because while we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs, people are dying in these mobile manufactured homes. And we're just afraid of MHI or afraid of the boogeyman or something here, but somebody's got to tackle this because people keep losing their life, and it's our job to mitigate the loss of life during tornadoes and severe storms. But again, I think we need to let Kim and Dr. Laura Myers and all the social scientists do their work. Let's get the data back, and then let's talk about it. So next question, Dina, are you ready for this one?
Sure.
Do you issue a 45-day forecast?
Can't resist.
We do like like the seasonal outlooks, but those are kind of.
No. I'm talking about. I want to know what the weather's going to be like on June 6th, my birthday, at 4:00 in the afternoon.
No, I think the only way I would do is look at the climate.
You know who issues those forecasts, don't you?
Well, let me guess.
Yeah, I'm not saying it out loud.
And listen, I have many friends that work at AccuWeather. Look, some of my very close friends work there. But I know deep down inside, they just have to cringe. And I think we had somebody from AccuWeather on the show one time, John. I don't know if you remember this episode, but we finally said, come on, man. You know good and well there's no skill in that. No. None whatsoever. And the standard corporate line was, people love it. People love it. And my line was this: well, people would love a machine where they press some buttons and it's sunny, on June the 6th, and it's 70 degrees and it's perfect for their picnic. They love that too. You're going to sell that to them as well? I mean, it's all a bunch of snake oil. It's just.
I barely believe 7 days out, let alone 40.
Yeah.
Dina, I remember when we were having the discussion at the Weather Channel to expand the extended range from 5 to 7 days.
Oh, that was a big deal.
That was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And we went round and round about why. Why are we doing this? Well, the public wants it.
The public wants it. And if you say it like it's a fact, like some places do, people take it as a fact. I guess it's all in your delivery, but I've seen some of their stuff where it's so hyped. And I think that's kind of puts the rest of us down because when I'm one of those people who's kind of like way down here on hype. Like if you see me get up here, I'm getting nervous. Like I look at everything like, would it be my family? Like when I see these tornado reports and these people getting hurt in trailers, if I was the mom there and my kids were there, what would I do? Because I still remember years ago, it might even been when you were there was a report of a tornado warning. This mother put her kids in the closet. Something came through the wall, killed the kids, and she lived. I mean, to this day, it still bothers me because she did everything right. So if I'm the mom and I'm told to leave, well, I would want to go. That's what I'm telling people. But then James brings up another good point. Maybe they don't have a car. Maybe they don't have anywhere to go. Maybe they don't know where to go. Or maybe they don't have time. And if I'm the mom in that situation, what do I do with my kids? I guess I hunker down in there. Do I go find a neighbor? I don't know. There's no good answer. I wish there was a good answer.
Yeah, you're right.
So here's my next question to you two, and I love having smart people on this show because it makes me think. This is something that we have learned, and I think this is probably an issue nationally because of the way we now use information. Most people, if they need to go somewhere, they get on here and they talk to their phone and they say, "Hey, I need to go to, McDonald's," and it tells you turn by turn how to get there without looking at a map. And accordingly, we have become a nation where we have a major problem with geography literacy.
Oh, absolutely.
People cannot find their house on a map. Yep. And we on television, and I would assume that for most of us, we use maps, especially when there's impending dangerous weather that might harm you or your family. And so what in the world are we supposed to do now that people can't find their house on a map? We've done some research down here where it looks like about 85% of the people, and I don't believe this is just where I am, if you give them a blank map with county lines and state lines and say, put a dot within 50 miles of your house, 85% of the people cannot do that. So do we need to change?
I know one trick. You got to put the highways on it. People know where they live in relation to a highway. Like in Atlanta, you have 75, 85. So people kind of know where they are in respect to the highway. So if you, at least when you're getting down somewhere, if you have the highway, I try to make a point of since I do graphics, put the highways on there. People know where they live in relation to that more than they will a county. Because a lot of these counties look alike. I moved from one county in Atlanta to another. And really, if you were to cut them out and show me side by side, they're almost identical. Just that I know because one's a little farther north. But
I'm telling you, I can put all that. I can put counties, names, I can put highways, and I'll post something on the face bag. I really work hard on this map. And the next 25, 30 comments, what about East Aboga? What about Aniana? What about Brent? What about Centerville? What about Rockford? What about Jasper? What about Coleman? It is like foreign to them. They have no use for it. They can't understand it. And so I'm thinking, what am I supposed to do here? And the other problem, when I'm doing tornado coverage on television, what are we using most of the time? Radar. If we don't have a live stream of the tornado or dash cam video or something, we're stuck with radar, and that's mapping. And I can be as graphic as anybody else. I know this market better than anybody else because I'm old as dirt. I can talk about barbecue joints and Walmarts and all these places, but still, it's a problem. So, in the daily stuff I do, I have really started to get away from a lot of maps, and I'm showing now just full screen graphics, facts, these bullet points, and I don't know what to do about that. So,
I think it's funny. Like in some places, some states, they are really county heavy. Like down here in Atlanta, everybody knows what county they live in. They may not know where it is on the map, but they know what county they are. I'm from Ohio. If you said something about the county, people don't talk about where they live in a county. Or I lived in New England. They don't really talk about so much of a county. They'll talk city. So I think it's really regionalized too. Like if you're issuing a warning for Cobb County or Forsyth County or Fulton County, they know it down here. But if you said Lorain County in Ohio or Cuyahoga County, I don't know if that's as clear. It just depends on where you live.
Yeah.
So go ahead, John.
I was going to follow up with what Dina said, that a lot of northern Pennsylvania is extremely rural. So, and there aren't that many roads, and particularly not main roads, not interstates. So the key there is if you don't know the county you're in, or even maybe even more importantly, the county to your west, then how are we going to transmit that information that will make a difference? That is a huge bug.
It's a social science question, and that's the one thing I think we've learned is how much we don't know about human behavior and data consumption and the social sciences. And that's why we love having Kim on this show, and we love to work with him, because I should have realized this 30 years ago. But it's just a different ballgame we're in. All right, next topic, Dina. Are you ready for this one?
All right, shoot.
Do you use the names of winter storms used by the Weather Channel on television?
We kind of have to.
What do you mean? Well, it's a different company. You don't have to. I mean, what are you going to hurt their feelings?
We do. I wish sometimes I get it. When we first started doing it, this is me personally, I was like, why are we doing this? And then I talked to Tom Nizzle, and I don't know, you guys have probably heard of Tom. He's our winter weather expert on the TV side. He really kind of sold me for a while, because it was all really for social media. So there could be a storm in the Northeast that could be the winter storm A name, and there could be another winter storm out in the Southwest coming up through the plains. That could be another one, so people get confused, and they could track it, and they could tweet about it, and people can say, hey, look at my yard, I've got a foot of snow, this is winter storm, whatever. And it was great. But people some caught on for a while, and then they just forgot about it. And a lot of times it's got to be so confusing, because you might have one big main storm in the West, and it's shooting out these little vortices. And we're like, all right, do we consider that? Do we consider that? Do we consider that? At this point on the digital side, we're still using the names for consistency. We still use the TV people in our videos if they're out live. But I just, I could leave it or take it either way.
By the way, we know one problem with the winter storm naming thing. I'm just saying, sometimes there's a problem there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know.
Listen, I think there's some merit to the idea.
Yeah.
I really do. But the question is, yeah, go, John.
Well, I've known Tom for more than 25 years. I met him when he was the MIC up in Buffalo, and there was a time when those guys named lake effect snowstorms.
Yeah.
They actually attached female names to them, and at the time, I think one of the names was either the wife of a current president or a family member of a current president. I think that's one of the reasons why it was shut down. I do think there's some merit to it, but I also think that it's not the same as naming hurricanes.
Right.
It's a totally different reasoning behind that. And we get caught up in that a little bit.
And I realize that they're trying to keep the science to it. Like it's got to have so much population covered in warnings. It's got to span so much area. And I know, like, even in Europe, they'll name their storms. So I do get it. I think it is confusing, because a hurricane, that you're not going to get confused with anything else. There's not going to be little vortices coming out of that. Hey, this is hurricane, and then this is the same hurricane. Winter storms are just more complex, but I do get it. I do understand it. And really a lot of it was for people to track it and for social media, because I think when this started, social media was really getting going. And at first it did start, because I remember, like, maybe the first 2 years or something, they had Winter Storm Nemo. Everybody hashtag Nemo. There was blow up Nemos in the front yard. I mean, people got into it. But then, it just depends. I don't think, like, when I look at Twitter, if I hashtag it to find something or video, I don't really find a lot.
And by the way, Kevin is our social media expert, since I see him back in the camera there. So Kevin wants to jump in. He probably can't do it because he's in a Fox newscast here. But and that is my next question: is social media, Dina? So do you have so the Weather Channel on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, is that an IBM thing that you do, or is that something with the TV people?
It's IBM owned. IBM owns the Twitter, the Facebook, and all that. We allow them to use it, but we're the ones who own it. So, like I said, it's like a divorce, but you have kids that you're trying to get along, kind of thing. But that is all owned. Like IBM bought all of that.
So who posts on, like, say, the Weather Channel Facebook page? Is that you, or is that somebody on the TV side, or both?
Well, there's a few of us that do it. I have rights to do it. There's a few of us that do. TV can, of course, we can tell them no if we wanted to, but I mean, we're not like that. We all want a good product. We all want everything to be as good as it can be. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything that they would post that we wouldn't want them to.
Do you know, is there any monetization going on with social media, especially on Instagram?
Above my pay grade, I don't know.
See, Dina knows, John. She knows she's not going to tell us.
No, I mean, there's just some things I don't know. I'm probably giving a lot more of my opinion, but hopefully nobody gets mad at me.
Yeah, we're just talking. Nobody listens to this. We're just talking here.
Yeah,
So,
right. 688th episode.
No, the Instagram monetization is fascinating to me. I have decided, based on what I've turned down over the last year, I can make more money on Instagram than doing television. The influencer money, it is unbelievably easy, and it's flowing over there, and it's just like insane. Of course, you know, I can't. I'm not allowed to do. I'm endorsing products. I can't do that. But it's just, to me, that's rather shocking, and it's become a very important platform where we are, and that so many people have escaped Facebook trying to get away from political rhetoric.
I know,
where they find Instagram is a happy little place with pictures, and it's a really happy little place, and so it's become crucial.
We're trying to make more videos like the Facebooks or the Instagram stories, where you can look at your phone and it's made. Like, I've been making the videos we're making now. A lot of them will fit to your phone exactly.
Yeah, the portrait format.
Right.
And in fact, you know, they've got Instagram TV where you can actually do long form, like 30-minute shows, but it's got to be portrait, which is a nightmare for us. Yeah. Because we live in a landscape world on television here. And it's, oh, man.
It's hard because you got to make duplicates of things, or, you know, unless you're going to do Florida, which fits in that nice little rectangle, or California, sometimes it's a little difficult. So.
Yeah, but the stories have become very important for me, at least, to reach people with critical information. These are people that don't watch television, a lot of them, especially the younger. With Instagram, you got these older demos, but you still got a massive number of younger demos. These are high school kids, college kids, you know, kids in their 20s. I say kids, you know, young adults. And they don't pay attention to television, but I can catch them over there on a story. And so I have found that to be a very useful platform to reach people. And also the Snapchat, it's the same thing with the stories. You have to use those to reach high school kids. And so, and again, my job is to reach people with critical information, no matter what platform it is. And a lot of them simply don't watch television anymore. And
a lot of people don't have TV. A lot of them don't. Yeah, they have Roku or something. Like, I don't know. I have TV, but...
Yeah, and I found the Apple event today to be interesting. I'd love to hear Kevin's opinion on what Tim Cook had to say. They introduced their new Netflix competitor called Apple TV Plus, and they made all kinds. And I've not had a chance to really look at it. That came out today. But again, what we're doing, the way we communicate, the platforms we have, it is changing like a meteor streaking through the night. And if you don't keep up with it, then, you know, you're got a problem. And so many people where we are watch, for the ones that do use television, they have cut the cord. So they're using an over-the-top box, OTT, and they're using Roku or Chromecast or Apple TV. And if we're not there, then we're not there. We don't exist. So we have to be there, and our company is there. But again, it's a learning process every day. So the next question is for you in the digital world. Do you ever sleep? Because I don't. And if anybody's in the digital world that sleeps, I would like to know how you do that, and when do you sleep?
I remember when you were on Stormfront Freaks and you told us you sleep like maybe 3 hours or something.
About three a night during the week. But your phones never turn off, and you're on the digital side. So I think maybe you got a bigger staff, which is nice.
We don't have a huge staff, but we have a big enough staff where we have mornings and evenings, and then when there's big events, we work 12-hour days, so we're covering it 24/7. So you can kind of go home and go to sleep, but in the same token, when you're a meteorologist, you want to stay on top of everything. You want to make sure you know what's going on. You don't want to just unplug completely and then come in the next day like, oh, what happened? You don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's just I'm not managing time well. I know I'm not. And there's some solution in here. And I think the solution ultimately is more people. But if anybody else in the television industry would tell you right now, that's just not going to happen. So we're just having to learn to do a lot without a lot of sleep. And if you're going to do it right, and part of the problem we've had this spring, we've had a lot of severe weather events on the weekends. So usually that's when I can get more than 3 hours a night. And all of a sudden you got a tornado outbreak on a Sunday, on a Saturday. And it's been a pretty rough spring here. So
Yes.
This past weekend was glorious. I mean, I slept probably more this weekend than I've slept all year. So what's the future, Dina? Where do we go from here? And what's this business going to look like in 10 years?
Oh, we've been talking about that a lot lately. I mean, I do think a lot of it's going to be digital. I don't think TV will ever go out, not for a long time. But I think, because I talk to a lot of my friends, say they live in New York or they live in other places or they travel, they don't have cable, they don't have regular TV. So they do look at their phones, but how you get information to them, man, I wish I had the secret sauce to do it, because I would make some good money.
Well, but see, you're in the sweet spot. You don't need to worry about it. You are in the sweet spot. You are right where everybody is. Yeah. We're the old school folks that are trying to reinvent what we do. And the problem all of us folks in television we're going to have, it's when all of these contracts wind down. So much of the television income right now, it's not advertising, it's carriage fees from DirecTV and Dish Network and these cable companies. And as more and more people cut the cord, the amount of money that you get is going to get less and less and less and less. And advertising will never be what it was 10, 20, 30 years ago just because of the numbers. And so,
unless you're streaming online the whole time on mobile devices, on the web.
Right. And there are, we do get carriage fees from, say, Hulu and YouTube TV. There is some money in there, but it's not the type of money you're going to get from DirecTV or Dish. And again, I think what needs to happen, and I think we're going to survive. I think for the young people coming up that want to do what we've done, there will be opportunities, great opportunities, but it will just be different. I just think there's going to be a smaller number of stations. These markets can't support 4 or 5 stations doing the same thing. I think those days are over. I think, and even in the big markets, you're going to wind up with 3. In a market size like mine, you'll probably wind up with 2. Mm-hmm. And you lean down and then you do it, because there will be times where you do have tornadoes flying and hurricanes on the Gulf Coast. And in the Weather Channel, look, I got a lot of friends that work on the TV side over there. Your friends that work down the street.
I do too. I mean, I left, but I still care about how they do.
And they do a great job, and I'm thankful for them. But they will never, ever, ever be able to do what the local people do, because they don't have the same knowledge of the culture, geography, microclimates, everything involved in that. You can never do that successfully. Again, on a national level, you can communicate a lot of good information, but I think there's going to be room for us, but it's just going to be different. And I think the young people, and so many old farts like me griping about millennials, I think they're brilliant. I think they're smart. I think they work hard, and I think they will come up with a better plan for those that want to be in media down the line here. So, but listen, Dina, we got to take a quick break here. Can you stay with us for a few more minutes? Are you good?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, great. We've got to roll a couple of recorded segments, and we're going to come back with Weather Roundup. We'll do Picks of the Week. We share something that's weather related. We'll have the email segment from Aubrey and much more. So don't go away as Weather Brains rolls along. Uh-oh. I got my volume. I'm going to play an extra segment, and I totally messed that break up. As Weather Brains rolls along.
Hey there, it's Min, the co-host of Weather Hype, and here's a message to get you weather ready. The spring season is here, and we want to prepare you for spring weather threats, which include thunderstorms. When thunder roars, go indoors. Lightning strikes the United States about 25 million times a year. Although most lightning occurs in the summer, people can be struck during any month. Lightning kills an average of 47 people in the United States, and hundreds more are severely injured annually. For more information, please visit the NOAA Weather Ready Nation website at weather.gov/WRN.
Looking beyond the atmosphere, here's Tony Rice with your Astronomy Outlook.
The 5th Lunar and Planetary Science Conference wrapped up last week near Houston. It's evolved since the first one in 1970 when it was called the Apollo 11 Lunar Science Conference. Today, though, it covers everything from geochemistry to astronomy. This year's conference paid special attention to the outer reaches of the solar system with a series of sessions on Kuiper Belt objects. Scientists from the New Horizons mission shared their latest findings about Ultima Thule, that small object visited on New Year's Day of this year. Planetary scientist Kirby Runyon described that object as reminiscent of monkey bread, the sticky, sweet, pull-apart bread rolls. And once the spacecraft got close enough, we found that this distant object isn't made out of two dusty snowballs as was once expected, but more like two shapes that look like smush pancakes. How these once separate balls of dust and ice stuck together could change the way we think about planetary formation. JPL planetary scientist Jason Huffgardner also presented a paper on dwarf planet Eris, with some study of why it's so bright. Eris was discovered about 16 years ago and was initially classified as the 10th planet in the solar system, but this all ultimately started the dominoes falling that created the dwarf planet category that eventually got Pluto demoted as well. Eris orbits between 38 and 98 AU, and 1 AU is the average distance between the Earth and the Sun. It's pretty cold out there. So cold, in fact, that its nitrogen-methane atmosphere may fall in the form of a millimeter-thick layer of frost. That frost layer is thought to contribute to its bright appearance, even from that distance. Now, a little closer to home, you can look for a pair of conjunctions where the moon can be your guide in finding a pair of planets in no danger of demotion. On Tuesday evening, March 26th, the moon and Jupiter will be less than 2 degrees apart, making them very easy to spot in the evening sky. Then on Friday morning, March 29th, before sunrise, Saturn will nestle up to the moon, within about half a degree from our vantage point here in North America. But for observers in part of South America and Africa, Saturn will actually pass behind the moon, also known as an occultation. That's your Astronomy Outlook. Follow me at RTP Hokie for more spacey stuff like this.
Oh, Aubrey, do you have time to do the little email segment? I see the nod. So let's dive into the email inbox and see what's in there.
Letters. We get letters. We get stacks and stacks of letters.
They've got to do a recording segment and then come back to me. I'll let you know when it's clear.
Show title. Actually, I noticed a few that came in during the show here. So here's one for Dina.
Okay.
This is from Wayne. He says, I noticed propellers in the background. Are you a pilot? Do you fly to gather data in storms?
That would be cool. I was a private pilot before I got into meteorology. So I do still love anything aviation weather related. That's what got me into weather. I think the difference was aviation's very, very expensive. Your flight lessons and your hours are expensive. And I paid for my own education and I paid for the lessons. And I realized, like, I've spent thousands and I have a private pilot's license and I'm going to have to spend thousands more and then probably fly mail and freight overnight for a few years to get more hours. And I got into weather and realized weather impacts everybody. And that's kind of what got me my first job too, because I did fly little planes and got into it. And it's weird how everything works out, but aviation was the past. Weather's now the current.
Okay, cool.
Hey, while we're waiting on Aubrey, I got a quick story. I want to give a shout out to everybody at the Center for Atmospheric. Now it's like, I don't remember what it's called. It's CAS, Center for Atmospheric Remote. I'll have to look it up while I'm talking. Anyway, it's Phil Chilson and Liz Pilar-Smith at the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma. I drove up there a week and a half ago to do a story for the television station. They are the ones who are building atmospheric sensing drones. They're building their own drones to fly around thunderstorms and other things and take meteorological observations. It's really fascinating. The base way to think about this is, how do we sample the upper levels of the atmosphere, even the lower levels of the atmosphere above the surface? It's with a balloon, right? And the minute you launch a balloon, you lose control of it and it's going to go off wherever it's going to go. These folks have built their own drones, and they're just now getting to the point where they are they're getting ahead of or catching up to the sensors that they can give us the equivalent of a balloon launch. Let me give you a better example. If you've ever seen a balloon launch, which we do twice a day, that instrument package, the radiosonde, is attached to a balloon, but it's a long, I think it's the minimum of 30 feet or something like that, string that it's attached to. And the reason it's so long is somewhere in the past, somebody realized that the balloon rising through the atmosphere was creating friction with the air and actually could heat up the radiosonde and throw off the sensor. So that's why it's so long. But you look at this thing now, they've built their own drones with 4 different motors and 4 different propellers, and they had to come up with the housing and the steering and the altimeter and all those things. But they're just doing that themselves, and you have to figure out, okay, well, wait, the sensor can't be anywhere near the downwash of the propellers because that's not pure environmental air. It's not affected air. It's not friction air. So they had to figure out algorithms, which they've done now, how to get a drone on itself, by itself, to figure out which direction the wind is coming from, orient itself, tilt itself into the wind so that they can get an ingest in the little nose cone there of unaffected air from the drone just to get the temperature and the humidity settings. It's really fascinating, and maybe I'll use it as my pick of the week. It's a very base level story because they're kind of at base level stuff, but I put it up on TV last week. But Phil Chilson and his group, they're just doing amazing work, and I'll make that my pick of the week.
That's great.
But I'm going to have 2 now. I got to do. There's a new podcast out, Invisibilia. Right,
really?
James Spann is on the podcast Invisibilia. It's a really interesting look at some of the 2011 outbreak and what James dealt with on that, and some real interesting comments on uncertainty in the middle of that program. The only trouble I'm having, James, is trying to remember which network that was on. Let's see, it's Invisibilia, and I know it's 3 letters. What network did that come on, James? I'm trying to remember.
That would be NPR.
I'm sorry, which
NPR?
It was N what?
NPR.
NPR, one of the best podcasts James has ever done. One of the most important topics of our time in this business. And where was that again, James?
NPR.
There you go. Thank you.
I heard
that's my best.
Wife also.
The what?
I heard they interviewed his wife also.
Yeah, Karen's on there. Yeah, Nate Johnson got a credit at the end of it. And I think we need to get her on this show. Abby, the producer, the woman.
She's fun. She's very fun. I would love to have her on the show.
How did this come about? Did she call you? Is she from there? What's the?
I don't. I think she was just poking around, looking at some ideas, and somehow she came across me on some FBI poster or something. I don't know. But
so she's not from there and didn't know you before.
No.
Because my only argument with the program, and if people listen to this, I'd love to hear from you. My only argument with it, and there really aren't any arguments, I thought it was really good, was that I thought that there were some, for lack of a better term, there were some holes that would have been made if somebody knew you already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. But they did a great job. They came down here for a few days, and we had a good time. In fact, we drove to Starkville, Aubrey, together. They rode with me over to Starkville. I did a talk over there on campus. So anyway, Invisibilia, it's up on the podcast app. So all right, Aubrey, you got a moment for
I'm sorry, what network was that? That
would be in NPR.
NPR, okay. NPR. When did y'all produce that? How long ago were they down there?
This was, I want to say, August or September of last year. It was,
so it's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, so I totally forgot about it. They did a great job.
Those NPR people take a long time to carefully craft their product.
NPR. Yeah. Aubrey, the email segment time. Go ahead.
And a shout out to, I got to see Johnny Parker again. at the conference, which was nice. And I actually got to meet his mother this time. So his sister was there the first day and his mother was there the second day. If you're not familiar with Johnny's story, read What Stands in a Storm. So it was kind of an honor to meet his mom too. So
yeah, Johnny's great. In fact, let me just say, we had Johnny on this show. He was here in our studio, and we moved the set into the newsroom and had him out there on the set. And this was sometime, I want to say, in 2011 or 2012. So search Johnny Parker Weather Brains, and he was on this show. So it was a great episode.
Sweet guy. Yep. He was awesome. So it was really nice to see him too. All right. So now I think I'm going to save this email for just a second. Tornado siren hack, doing away with them. This is a article from Ron Malinowski. I'm an Owitz, so I should be able to pronounce this. The Polish, we have to stick together. This is from NBC5 in Chicago. Illinois City eliminates tornado sirens after series of hacks this year.
Oh, yeah.
So
it was me. It was me. I hacked into them.
That. Are they trying to set them off, or
they have not been identified?
Yeah, I think that there was just some hackers trying to have fun with late night sirens and turning them off and on at random times.
All right, and then this one is from Ryan. I'm a college student who's been interested in weather and have been thinking about switching to my major to meteorology. I live downwind. This is interesting. I live downwind of Lake Michigan and notice that sometimes we get really heavy snowfall under a high pressure system. We do get a lot of lake effect snow in my city, but mostly during low pressure. In December, January 2018, we had 36 inches of snow when all the weather channels were only reporting 8 inches. I was checking the radar the whole week and noticed Michigan was under a high pressure system with strong northwest winds off the lake. People don't believe me when I tell them this, but I've seen snow and high pressure happen through the Great Lakes region. And Ryan, you're absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. Even though typically, as a whole, high pressure typically means sinking air, sunny skies, you can get precipitation. Sometimes we refer to them as dirty highs. And especially when you have mesoscale features like lake effect snow, everything kind of gets thrown out the window when you have some of those small mesoscale features, especially depending on what might specifically be going on in your location, where exactly you live on the lake.
Yeah, there was a great paper written, Audrey, a number of years ago about MCVs, mesoscale convective vortices that form on southern Lake Michigan. Very unusual, but the wind direction is key to developing that.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then let's go ahead and go to this question. This is from Jay Farlow, and he wanted to give credit to this idea from his friend Keith Brandt, MD, who's a ham radio operator and storm spotter in the Houston area, who told him about the device after he won one at a ham fest. And let me see if I can do the whole screen share thing, because that's chat. Screen share, application window, this one, share. All right, so this is a device. It's called Tornado Alert, the world's first personal tornado detector, which if you read, it constantly monitors the skies in real time for electrical activity. The scientifically, I'm quoting, the scientifically proven cause of tornado formation. Tornado Alert will tell you when a tornado, lightning, or severe weather is detected within a 30-mile radius of your location. That's up to a 30-minute warning with live proximity status that will give you critical time. I would like to know from his friend what's been tested on this. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I want to know POD and FAR.
It sounds great to me. I think we can all go home now that we have this.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're done. No, look, I remember back when I was a kid, there was an idea that you could tune your TV down to channel 2. This is the old analog television, which was the lowest frequency of all the television channels. I want to say it's probably, I don't know, what was it, 60, 70 megahertz, and turn the brightness down. And if the screen illuminated a certain number of times, then a tornado's coming. And back in those days, that was thought to be, there was some credibility to that. And there might be some merit to this idea, but I would not put my life in that thing's hands. I'll put it that way.
In the early days of storm chasing, we actually used the AM frequencies. You turn your dial all the way down as far as it would go and see what the lightning incidence was, the frequency.
Interesting.
That is.
So with that,
I think they need to send us a review model, and we'll check
there
it
you
out.
go.
Yeah. We'll test it
I'm
out.
sure we're going to see that right away.
case studies and locations with proven lead times of 30 minutes. So, all right, email at weatherbrains.com, if you have any guest suggestions, any fun links, show topics, what you like about the show, or any interesting guest questions for our lovely guests. We appreciate it.
All right.
Email at weatherbrains.com.
Email weatherbrains.com. Let's do a weather roundup here. Dina, what's the weather like in Hotlanta? Did y'all have any hail this evening?
No, it rained pretty good. And it rained on and off, but it's over now. And I looked before we got on, and there was a few warnings to the south of Atlanta. And I'm like real far north of the city. So it stopped. It looked pretty nice out. So I think we're done.
Some pretty good hailers here. In fact, let me see if I can.
That video from yesterday in Texas was.
Yeah, there was a lot of hailers in Texas yesterday. I did see a report of 2.75 inches. Did you see that? That's baseball size.
Wow.
I think, Kevin, they had larger hail than that, didn't they? Up in Collin County somewhere, didn't they have 4-inch diameter hail somewhere?
Oh, 4.
I'm sorry, I honestly don't know. I was off the grid this weekend.
Gee,
yeah, I was looking at the Weather Service in Fort. If you go to the Weather Service in Fort Worth, their Twitter feed, they had a graphic with all the hail sizes, and I want to say they had a peak hail stone of 4 inches in diameter. That's almost grapefruit size.
Yeah, that's
huge.
Which is in Collin County.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be somewhere up around Plano, McKinney, up in that part of the Metroplex there. But yeah, we did not have anything like that here. We had some pretty rough hail. In fact, we had a severe storm come through a pretty good sized town called Clanton that took a roof off a commercial building, put the roof down on the road down under that, crushed some cars. We're lucky that nobody was seriously injured because of that. But we have equipment in Clanton, and the winds peaked at 58 miles per hour, right at severe limits. So we had a pretty rough ride here, but not as bad as they had in Texas yesterday. Speaking of Texas, Kev, what's happening in the great city of Wichita Falls?
It's pretty quiet here. We've got, temperatures climbing the next few days. By Friday, we should be in the low to mid 80s. And then over the weekend, we'll drop back to upper 50s to near 60. Tomorrow, I'm excited. I'm going to go up and visit to Norman again and visit with Dr. Harold Brooks and talk about that paper that he wrote that has the Tornado Alley shifting into the southeastern portion of the country. So that'll be hopefully interesting. Well, for him, it will be. If I can put it together,
he is an interesting guy. He is.
Yeah, he's something.
I want to say I had dinner with Harold at the NWA meeting in St. Louis. We had a great time. We need to get him on the show and talk about that paper. That is a very interesting bit of research. We ought to get Victor and Harold, both of those guys on here. Victor is at NIU, I think now. He was at College of DuPage the last time I saw him, and he's over at NIU. And Harold, that would be great. But that's awesome.
I'll ask him if he wants to come on the show. I'm looking at the Fort Worth website too. By the way, they do have a dot for up to 4.5 inch in northwestern Collin County. You're right, in between Prosper and Frisco.
Goodness gracious!
The updraft speed that's required to maintain a hailstone that size. It's 90 to 100 miles an hour.
I was gonna say, isn't it like 70 just to get golf balls? I think.
Not quite that high.
Okay.
But 4 inches, yeah, it's 90 plus.
Yeah, their largest reported hailstone occurred between Frisco and McKinney, and was measured at 4.5, or about the size of a grapefruit.
It's brutal, just brutal. All right, so. Aubrey, what's happening in Harrisonburg? I would assume it's you had some rain today.
We had a little bit of rain. I mean, less than 1/10 of an inch. Nothing. It's like it's a sprinkle. But it's cool. We had a cold front, kind of almost like a backdoor cold front. So it'll be cooler tomorrow, but lots of sunshine, and then warming for the end of the week and the weekend. So it'll be a nice nice to dry out for a couple of days, and then some warmer weather on the horizon. So I'm looking forward to a quiet week.
Quite as good. Yeah, we're in the midst of our tornado season down here in Dixie Alley here in late March, and it's been a rough month. We back on March 3rd. We had the event in Lee County that killed 23, and then about 10 days ago, we had a day with 16 tornadoes here. And fortunately, with that event, we had no loss of life, but it's been a pretty active month, so we can take some quiet. All right, let's transition to Pick of the Week. This is where we go around the horn. Everybody shares something weather related. This can be a website, hardware, software, anything related to weather. So, Aubrey, before you got to go do television, let's start with you. And I've got to do television here shortly, too.
Mine was a really cool link that I found today on Twitter about Yellowstone and how it's not necessarily overdue for an eruption like you might hear on some of these
super volcano.
Yeah, the super volcano, and a lot of these history shows how Yellowstone is always overdue. And it's a really cool article. I'm missing the last paragraph. I didn't get through all of it, but it's a really good article. So I thought that was interesting. And also, just a side note to anyone, if you want to follow along with the conference from the weekend from the Severe Storm Symposium in Mississippi State on Twitter, it's hashtag SESVR 2019. Or if you follow me on Twitter at WXOBS, what am I on Twitter? Hang on.
Show title.
I'm at WHSV Obs. The people that own me in there. WHSV Obs. And you can follow the hashtag, because Tom Miners from Memphis basically live tweeted the whole thing. So it'll be like you were there, and then we'll get the link for the keynote speakers to you as soon as we get that link. Because there were some really good presentations, and we'll update you guys. We talked about some of the severe storms, and also the tornado, the shelter, and some cool stuff with 7-day graphics. I mean, just some really cool information.
And listen, mine is Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, their satellite page. And on that note, Dr. John or Kev or Aubrey, y'all got to take it over, because I'm the lead story over here. So we'll see you guys next week. Okay.
All righty.
John,
we'll see
you, man.
All right. Thanks. I get to do my own pick of the week here. Wow.
There you go.
Well, my pick is an article that appeared recently in Media Matters, and the title of the article is How Broadcast TV Networks Covered Climate Change in 2018. There's some interesting statistics in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line is less time devoted to climate change by TV broadcasters.
Really? They're getting bored with it, or what?
Good question, Kevin. They claim a 45% drop in climate change coverage.
Really?
This is interesting, and we don't have enough time for it. And I probably shouldn't even start. But
no.
Well, I feel like, and what I wonder is if this was an organized effort or not. But I feel like when the powers that be decided, that the science was settled. And look, I'm not picking a side either way. I'm just observing. Okay, that the science was settled. I felt like we saw a pretty big drop off in the man-made part of global warming. Everybody still says global climate change, but they dropped the man-made, and I wonder if that was a byproduct of the science was settled meme, and so is that having some impact on the excitement of coverage, or whether people are interested in the coverage? And I also, going backwards, wonder, this is what we saw back in the 70s of clean air and clean water and earth friendly.
Acid rain.
Yeah, I think that this is probably an extension of that. It's the same type of people and the same people. Again, not picking a side, but I just have my observation is that they backed off of the man-made part, and you almost wonder if that had some psychological effect or not. I'm just rambling, but you go, John.
No worries. You're great for that, Kevin. We want to hear you ramble.
Where do you go from there?
Yeah, well, I know. I feel like I pay attention to this stuff and to social media, and I just feel like I can sense trends sometimes, and it just feels to me like there was a benchmark there and a trend away from that.
It's a shame though, because we need to keep this in the forefront. And if we become complacent with regards to long-term effects, that's not good either.
Well, and that's a good point, and that's why I guess, and you helped me. That's why I brought it back, into the clean earth, or earth friendly era of the 70s. Is I wonder, I'm gonna say this the wrong way, but if man-made or not climate change. I better not. Well, I'm not going to do it well, and I can't do it here in a short amount of time. It's just, I kind of wonder, why shouldn't we all be for clean air and clean water and all these things? Why did we have to make this a political football by bringing the man-made part into it? Obviously, some people thought that was true and thought that would be a way to advance the cause. But now I wonder, is the message about to change again, if that makes any sense?
I don't know, but the message needs to be out there. Though.
Yeah. I just wonder if there's a change coming. Was it intentional that we moved away from it? And why can't we just go back? Because for whatever reason, back in the 70s, I don't think it caught on with a big enough to have a big enough impact. And so by adding man-made, if it was that same group, again, not picking a side, but adding that, did that amp it up and give it attention? And now have we moved away from the attention somewhat by your article here, by sort of saying the science is settled and not blaming something in particular? Again, I'm rambling.
That's okay. There's a lot of interesting statistics in this, which are worth reading. So I'll throw it out there.
Yeah, but there's some interesting strategy, I guess, is from the messengers. Is what is interesting to me. That because I like messaging. That's I'm interested in that. Anyway, I have to go do TV since I'm not talking very well.
And you already gave us your pick of the week, so it's.
I'll do that. I found my link to my story from it's Phil Chilson's Center for Autonomous Sensing and Sampling. Just thanks to them for hosting me up there. And then there was the Invisibilia podcast on that network.
Yeah,
what was that network again? That is it was NPR. That was it. Dina, thanks for being on. I'll see you guys.
Thanks, Kevin. Have a good night.
Thanks, Kevin.
Bye.
Well, Dina, are you familiar with this pick of the week thing we do?
Yeah, and I picked a website. It's probably one you guys have all seen. I can even share this with you, but mainly this is it's preview.weather.gov/EDD.
Yeah.
You guys have all seen this, but I'm not sure if your viewers have or not, but I love this. It's experimental from the National Weather Service. You could put on hazards, which is your warnings. You could put on radar, satellite, OBS. I love the storm report one because you could put storm reports on, hover over it, and that'll show you your reports. You can go back different hours. I mean, it's great. So once again, that's preview.weather.gov/EDD.
And we will have those links on the Weather Brains page, and you can access that at your leisure. Thanks, Dina.
All right.
What I wanted to talk a little bit more during the program. We're out of time just about, but Kevin mentioned the use of drones, and I've been involved in several research projects where we've had multiple aircraft flying through storms at the same time, providing some kind of sense of the vertical distribution of those important variables. Drones are a whole lot safer.
I know. I love that idea because when you first think drone, you think that little drone that you buy your kid in the backyard that's real kind of flimsy and think it's going to break. But these things are heavy duty.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it because you're bringing it right back to you. It's not like you hope the radio sound gets sent back to you. It's a lot of money for these things. So you're almost recycling. And anybody who figures out all that math, I never thought about the downdraft and the way it would disrupt the readings. I never even thought about that. That's really interesting. So somebody way better in math than I am has figured these algorithms out.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When we were flying into storms, one of the issues was if you get into one of these updraft cores, you're going to blow the block of clearance you have from the local air traffic control, and they would just be screaming at you. You've gone through your ceiling. Well, what can we do? We're in an updraft.
I'm trying
Right.
trying to get it back down.
Oh, I know.
You're going to need airspace for those things.
Yeah, and they try to give you enough airspace, but these storms are cranking. If you get into the wrong place, you're going to go up with it.
Yeah, and what happens if one of those goes into an aircraft engine?
Oh, you mean ice or?
Well, like, if a drone gets sucked up.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I was on an aircraft where we ingested too much ice, and that's not a good thing either.
No, it's not. It's scary.
It is. Well, it's been great having you on the program. This happens a lot when the guys often do their television, and I'm left to shut down the show.
Okay. Well, it was nice. I was glad I got to actually see you because I remember starting and you being at the Weather Channel, and like you weren't there very long, so we touched base, but it wasn't one of those things where I got to know you very well before you left.
And vice versa.
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure getting to talk with you as well.
Yeah, it is. Because you've always had such a great reputation there too. So years later, I really years later, it always had a great reputation.
I am still shocked. It's been a while now since I was on the Weather Channel, but I'm still shocked when people run into me and say, "I used to watch you all the time." And I was a lot younger then.
It's been a while. I know, to think about the time when I started. So it was a long time ago. I think it was 01 maybe.
I was there until 02.
Yeah.
But some of the major changes that you were talking about just started to hit the network then. And I know I wouldn't recognize it if I went back.
Yeah, I mean, it does look a lot different. But I mean, it was a great place to start for someone, like I was at the WSI, but to be at the Weather Channel and to have people like you who are PhDs, it's like working with your professors. As you're working in the real world, you have somebody to ask. I learned more outside of college than I did in, really, to be quite honest.
I think that's the way it is. I think you learn the fundamentals in college. You learn to apply it when you get out and get a job.
And to have everybody like you and, Dr. Forbes and all these different PhDs. And at that time you were there, we had like a winter weather expert. We had a severe weather expert. We had Dr. Lyons. I learned a ton from Dr. Lyons. You, and then right after you were there, we had Dr. Neese, and I learned tons. I mean, that's really where I got the bulk of my real meteorological meat to it.
Oh, that's great. We had John Neese on the show not that long ago.
I do love John. He's
great
wonderful.
Guy.
He's one of those people who could take something very scientific and technical and explain it. And that's why he's such a good teacher.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the hallmarks, being able to do that. And if you're good on television, that's one of the key attributes you need to portray as well. Yeah. Well, it's been great, Dina.
Yes.
Thanks for taking the time out this evening. And my clocks are all going to go off now. It's 11 o'clock in the East.
I know. I'm never up this late.
Well, I try not to be. But this has been Weather Brains. We come on the show every Monday night, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. If you've got some email you want to send to us, send it to email@weatherbrains.com. We will read it on the air. So for the rest of the gang, I'm John Scala. Dina, thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good one.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Good talking to you, Dina. Thanks a lot. Have a great one.
Have a great night. Good night.
Thank you. So long.
right, guys. So I had to run there. Thank you guys for watching this week. Great to have Dina on the show. Sorry, Dr. D didn't make it on here. We'll see if we can get that problem solved, get him on here ASAP. But I got to go back in the studio. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all next Monday night. Have a great week. God bless. Bye.